don't miss any good stuff. All right. You want to get us going, Scott, or you want me to start?
Go ahead. I'll pick it up when you're done.
All right. Good morning, everyone. And I'm Wendy Parker. I am the UASA Executive Director, and I appreciate you all jumping on this morning. Some of you, it's earlier than others, but you know, we are making lots of efforts to do our best here to make everything as best as it can be. And one of the things we want to make sure works well is the MPS program. And so we appreciate you guys. If you've been previous recipients or applicants, we really want to hear your feedback on this so that we can, if there's improvements to be made, great. If not, we'll keep going, but looking forward to your feedback. So, Scott?
Thank you, Wendy. All right. Good morning, guys. I want to just start out by just telling what the contest is about and how it came about. So what it was meant to do is the appliance industry in general had just become, I don't know, just had a bad stick about it to where the public had a bad perception because there were some bad players out there in the market. So UASA at the time had come up with a program to start to elevate the industry through the look of the industry. As technicians, we normally we're really good at doing efficiencies and how to run the service call and all that, but we're really not that well at running the business and the perception of customers. So that was why we began to do this to begin with. And as we move along, I would appreciate if anybody had questions or comments, whatever, you're more than welcome to pipe in here. So that's the vision of it. What we're doing is just trying to elevate the whole industry with it. So how it works is in the ASTI prior to, so in 2025's ASTI, a few months back, we began to talk to different vendors, you know, from parts suppliers, software suppliers, just different connections. And we began to get our judges together. And then what we're after is just a different, you know, we're not after any one particular all parts or all software. We just want different perspectives on it. So we'll round those up at the beginning of the year so that as the applicants start to come in, Christina Crocker is the one that puts it all together and sends it out to the judges. And they'll just get a packet where everything is separated out into categories. You know, your 1 and 2 man shops, the 3 to 7, so forth and so on. So each judge will get a packet with all of the different applicants for that category. And then they're just simply judging it 1 to 10 based off of the website, your social media, the appearance of your vans, the appearance of uniforms, that sort of information. And then they're all tallied up to give us a total score for each one. And typically that sorts it out very well enough. But there is a time that we'll have a tie. So we always have a judge off to the side that will be the tiebreaker judge in the event that we have that. So once the judges send that back to us, then we put together the picture boards that you guys see at the convention. And then it goes out on the app, and that's where you all begin to vote. So are there any questions on how we go about doing it? Or input where you think we make a change of it? All right, so the next thing, once we get the boards out there, then everybody in general from the convention votes, and we come up with the winners, one through 3. And then we have Mila typically gives prizes. Craig Riley with Plus One Solutions does prizes. Christina does prizes for us, and they all support the program. Without them, we definitely could not do it. So we'd like to thank each one of those at this point as well. But the first place prize, usually in the past, we've typically gotten a marketing package with a check my badge. Mila has donated a coffee maker for the first place prize on it. Christina does 50 custom and branded tool mats from Servicers Web. There's a cash prize involved. You get a free entry to the ASTI of next year and a membership for the next year as well. And then a marketing support package from Christina as well. And then the second place is a cash prize. Then Mila typically gives a vacuum cleaner on that one. You get a half off entry for the the following year's ASTI convention and a 1-year membership with the marketing support package. And then the third place prize is the 1-year membership with full benefits and a marketing support package. So that's how the prizes are given out. So in your guys' opinion, what can we do to be more appealing, to get more people to enter into the contest? What's some suggestions there?
This is Michael Ruffino with Mila. So I just wanted to ask, I mean, I know we talk about most professional service, or do you ever break it out or think about subsetting it, like, most professional customer service team, that the company has to offer? I mean, you could base that on ASA service levels and things of that nature if they're actually recording metrics, maybe you do that as opposed to, from a small, medium, large, like maybe some of your large organizations, either A, have insourced customer service, or B, maybe they outsource it, whatever it is. But if you can get metrics and monitor that, that be something that is an additional enticement for people to register, just as a thought.
Sure, yeah, we can definitely take a look at that. I'm making notes of all of the ideas. We've had a couple emailed in as well that I've made notes of before it started.
Yep. So Michael, we have talked about that in the past. So the original concept, I got started with the most professional servicer kind of early on. So I've been kind of working. I did that for about 10 years before we handed it over to Scott. So when it first became we started it because, back in that day, especially, our industry has always had an image issue. The butt crack jokes and, spenders and all that stuff. So the whole idea was initially to better the image of our industry, to improve the quality of our websites, to better our service vehicles, so we're not showing up in rusty old ratty trucks, and to put technicians in uniforms, and to increase the professional image. And that was the original concept of the whole thing. And so we have talked about expanding that to other things like Technician of the Year and those sort of things. And we are open to that. We've always discussed doing those things. Those things do get a little complicated, and they do get a little hard. So this is one of those things that we have, as far as the MPS, we've learned to do that. We've learned to do that pretty well, and we're continuing to evolve on that. And thank you for your support and continued support from Mila, as far as giving the sponsorship and those big prizes. And like Scott's point, without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. So so we are open. We're always open to expanding MPS. The MPS as we have it now, as far as image, probably is not going to. We always want to keep that at the core, but maybe an additional contest, or a sub contest to that. We're always open to those suggestions. So
go ahead, Jenny.
So one thing that came to my mind was years of being in business, and it might be fun to do a category for rookies, make it under 3 years in business or something, and have a most professional servicer in the rookie category or something like that. Because even if you take over a business and you're new to it, but that business has been around for 15 years, they have a pretty big advantage over people that are new entrants to the field. And there's we call them the COVID companies, but many people popped up during COVID, and they might be kind of weeding out now, but there's a handful of people that popped up during COVID that are going strong and really found that this was a good business for them, I imagine. So that's just a thought. And then as far as prizes, I think, we're so passionate about peer groups and the benefit of being in a peer group. I think maybe enrolling, or like free enrollment into a peer group or something like that might be a really cool prize to continue that pathway of professionalism once they whether they win the contest or not. So I don't know if there could be a discount just for entering the contest, but that, you know, if you're trying to attract entrants to it, that might be an interesting thought.
Those are great ideas. Thank you.
One of the ideas that we received from people who couldn't attend today was a community service recognition for companies that do a lot of community service. And I think that's a good category too. And that kind of services, there's probably some companies doing amazing things that can serve as some role models and share how they do that with other companies and give back to the community. I think that's a nice subcategory as well.
Does enhance the perception of the public too, for sure.
Yep.
Any other ideas?
I think I mentioned this in another laundry room, but the idea of having past people who have placed in first, second, or third place and just have like a panel with them and let any of the people that are thinking about entering the contest just get advice and ask all the questions they want to ask. You know,
Do you
kind of
think
like a stump the winners.
Oh, that's
Or
a good
do
idea.
as
Wow,
we
let's
go
not
into
put
it,
pressure on us, Ginny,
Mm.
on the panel, but that's a great webinar topic, I think, for sure. Panel guests, I like that.
I like
Well,
that.
even at ASTI, you know, like if you didn't enter this year, come ask the panelists like all the questions. You know, what's holding you back? We're going to be open and honest with you, like real casual. Like there's a whole thing about once you get your poster up there, what you need to do to go around and talk to people and introduce yourself and almost like be a politician for yourself and just, you know, that networking is a skill and a lot of people don't have that. It's not comfortable. It's very much out of their comfort zone to go out and network, but it's a really important skill to build as a business owner. So just
We entered twice, but I will say it's not cheating. I just made sure that our marketing people, our team took care of it because that would just overwhelm the heck out of me. So for all of you guys who went through the process and ticked off the boxes of the things you had to submit and work on a number scale of 1 to 10, is our process easy or overwhelming to do? Again, if you're gifted in that area, I'm not. So if you're not, you pay people that are better than you. That's the way to do it, but you can't always. So, you know, you've had this system in place for a while, and I can't remember what it looks like. But for those who've tried, I think Ben recently did it. Ginny, you did it as well. Does it seem like the process is simple, cut and dry? We had to do a video. I promise to stop asking questions and then keep interrupting. But we did a video because it was kind of post-COVID. And I really liked that, and I would like to see that come back. I know it's easy nowadays, or easier to put a halfway decent quality video together, but wouldn't that be cool at ASTI to be like just watching an owner passionately describe their business? And that
Yeah.
can help us in making a decision. But what would you say the process, Ginny, was 1 to 10?
I thought it was not hard. The only barrier or issue was towards the end. I don't remember. Somebody reached out and said, it was very unclear to me whether I actually was a finalist or whether I didn't make it into the final round. And so I felt like did we make it? Like, are we in? You know, and so maybe the communication and the timeliness of that, like ASTI is like coming and coming, and you're like, well, am I in or not? And it just, that process seems to take a long time when you're waiting for that answer in the background. But I don't think it's an easy process, but I think it's a simple process. And I don't think it should be easy because the whole point is to have to do the things that make you professional. And those things aren't easy to do and they take time, but that's the whole point, is to up level our businesses.
But that's a good point, Jenny. So, initially, the contest was actually the very first year when I took it over. It was very hard to enter. Actually, there was a lot of pasting, clicking, uploading. It was very, very cumbersome to do. I actually before I joined the board, I actually got second place, and I remember I had to like to Doug's point, I had to recruit people in my office to help me because it was beyond my capabilities to do. So it wasn't really easy. So one of the first things we did to help improve that is we is we did make take some of that cumbersomeness out to make it a little bit easier. But to your point, yeah, it's you need to be able to do a little bit of work to be able to do this. So finding that balance, and I think we've actually done that pretty well. The one thing that I think that we're doing now, to your point, is as far as the communication at the end. Right at the end, everything gets so crazy hectic, right? I mean, we got ASTI coming up, and we're also busy, and the judges are all busy because they're all people in industry as well. Nobody on the board are judges, and nobody that works with the contest are judges either. So we recruit vendors, and they're all so busy, and so we're trying to get them to the judges, we're trying to get them back from the judges, and all the meanwhile, ASTI's coming up, right? So there's all this busyness. So one of the things that I've been working with and Scott and Wendy is moving these timelines up. So our timelines for ASTI classes are going to be moving up. You're going to see great progress on that front, I think. And the MPS deadlines are going to be sooner, so we have more time to work with that. Because to your point, to that communication at the end. Then we have the struggle too, is we don't want to notify the winners and have them go public until all the winners are notified. So a lot of times we have trouble notifying everybody for whatever reason, and then there's this. Okay, some people know. So in the past, some winners have actually released it on social media before we got all the messaging out. So that left a lot of confusion too as well, trying to handle that. So I think that process has gotten better. It's going to continue to get better. And so to that point, so thanks for sharing that, because
that's an easy remedy.
Yes.
If you're one of the top 3, but if we see it publicly announced anywhere, then you're going to be immediately disqualified.
Oh,
because
Jenny.
that's an easy remedy, because you're right. I mean, that does kind of ruin it for people. It feels bad to not find out that you're not in and that way. So
Ben, can I
Doug,
pick on you here? You won last year, and on that notification process, was that timely enough?
Scott,
are you talking
to Scott, who were you addressing, Jenny or me, or
Ben?
Oh,
Ben.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Scott, of course, I'm going to say it was great because you were in charge of notifying me and you did a great job with it. Honestly, I was going to say, I thought that was really helpful for me. One thought that came to my mind with this discussion is, we live in our businesses, live in the critical and the urgent. And I think we're always living in that part of the 2x2. And something like most professional servicer is like a nice to do. I want to do it. But I need to set aside time. And I think it maybe took me, under an hour to submit everything. I thought it was very clear. It was very easy for me. Maybe I have more digital assets that are easier to grab and upload. I thought it was very seamless. But I can imagine for others in the industry in different structures and formats, even if it's not a lot of work, it can feel like it. And since it's not critical and urgent, it always is on the to-do list, but it's on the bottom of the to-do list that you just carry over week to week, and then eventually it falls off. And one thought I had would be, if you wanted to deputize some of the previous winners to, informally tap on the shoulder or nominate others to apply. It's not that we would just want, our buddies in the industry to win, but I know a lot of folks who are great, who run great companies. And if, Scott, Maggie, Dave, Wendy got on my case and said, hey, send us the name of 3 people and we'll send them a note saying you have been, suggested to be nominated for this award. I would take it as an honor, and maybe I would look the other way. And then if you haven't gotten them to submit it, then tell me and I'll give them a call and say, hey, I really think you should do this. It's not just for you, it's for others. And, we want to be a good role model here.
I like that idea. That's a really good idea.
Well said, Ben. I love it.
Other thoughts on the application process? I think that's really good feedback. We are moving timelines up for everything, as Dave said. So everybody, we're not going to release other stuff ahead of time, but at least notifying, at least getting the process, through a little sooner than it's been done in the past will help everyone.
Yeah,
Posting.
I like the idea of the videos. We've talked about bringing those back too, because during COVID, everything was done remotely, and we brought those videos back. And yeah, and so on that note, make sure we mark that down, Scott, because we'll talk about that next, as far as being part of that process, because I think that's a really cool idea, and it just adds extra exposure for the companies too, and it's get the word out, right?
Yeah, voting participation at ASTI too is pretty critical. I know we have the poster boards out and we move them around. And I think it was part of the app last year, wasn't it, Scott and
Yeah.
Dave? I think that might help us too. Nag everyone to make sure you check it all out and make your vote count.
In the chat, Enrique had said in there to convert those boards to a video board, like a TV on wheels,
Oh, neat.
that rolls around out the or
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea as well.
Yeah. Ben was giving out free mopeds. I think it was mopeds to anyone who voted for him. So he was doing a lot of promotions. It was very good, Ben.
I did email folks before saying that we were part of the contest and we encouraged all folks to vote, not just for us, but gave out
right.
candies. I don't know if that was the best way to do it or not. One thought that I had is when we're there, I love the categories that you all have, the logo, the leave behind, things like that. I wonder if there's even a way. Because there's only going to be a finite number of people who are going to put in the time and effort to go into the most professional servicer. Hopefully we get more, but maybe we're not going to have, 5 or 10 times more. But I'm wondering if we make it easier, bite-sized contributions. Maybe when you're at ASTI, hey, submit a leave behind, folks can vote on it. We can show a broader portfolio and gallery. Maybe it's a halo effect where by showing more content from more companies, we naturally get more interest in it. And even if they're not the most professional servicer, maybe they're part of the UASA Hall of Fame, or or some tier that just gives recognition to others and makes it a lot easier to be like, oh yeah, I can send you a picture of my truck wrap or my leave behind, just to get more people and more ideas out there. Since I think that's generally the idea, as Dave was saying, just hopefully elevating the industry and being able to share best practices.
Yeah, and I think that maybe having some of these subcategories besides just the overall MPS winner, but having these other subcategories, maybe it is the best leave behind overall, right? Maybe you could just have those kind of things where people say, I'm not ready to do that whole thing, but I am willing to submit. I feel really good about what I just did, one thing. I think that maybe that does get more, it's kind of like a bite-sized entry, and they go, oh, that wasn't so hard. Next year I can do more. I think that might be a good expansion without too much intensive work on anybody's part.
Out of curiosity, do we know how many people actually voted this year?
I did not see a tally. Do you know, Christina? Are you still on?
I want to say it was like 190 something. But
Okay.
I can jump on and look real quick. One sec, let me look.
Is there
So,
a way
like-
to incentivize voting? Like if you have voted, then you're in this drawing, like you're almost like a raffle ticket. Like if you have voted, then your name goes into this drawing.
Well, I wonder though if we just make it more visible. I mean, the boards are there. The setup for next year's ASTI's not as, it's going to be kind of different. So I wonder if we do have a video version that plays like in between classes or before lunch and before breakfast, that kind of just runs through that, reminding people this is all happening. Don't forget to vote. So basically wherever they're going, when there's downtime, we're going to be recognizing sponsors. We're going to do all these things on these videos, but we could also be running through the MPS finalists so that people kind of keep it's in front of their minds at all different times that they need to vote. So I think that might be a good option.
So there was 171 votes for the last contest.
Out of how many people that were able to vote? Wasn't it like 700 or 800?
Right.
Is
Okay,
that
so
total
roughly like
votes for all
20%.
categories, or is that per category? That's total votes?
It's total votes.
Wow.
I
So
feel
we
like there
only-
was.
My question, and because I am new to this, is we only let people vote during ASTI? Like that's the restriction, is you have to be at ASTI to vote. Okay.
Right.
And we had I wasn't at the ASTI this year, but there was a video playing in one of the rooms that kind of went through sponsors and the MPS contestants were in that video. And we had push notifications on the app. We had emails, like we had all kinds of stuff going out. So I don't know if maybe there's something more creative we could think of to get people to do it. But I mean, it was a link on the app. I mean, it was like, it should have been like right in front of everyone's face. So I don't know why more people aren't voting. I know we had discussed opening it up to vendors at one point. I don't know if that's something worth discussing, but just to get
So,
more people
yeah,
voting.
so then clarify that of that 800 that attended, there is a portion of that that's vendors. So if they're not, if only servicers can vote, it's about half of that number then that are eligible.
Right. So we probably did have half
So about
the actual
50%, like a
services.
50%, yeah, but it sounds like around 50% participation rate in voting of the eligible voters.
The push
Which-
notification made it so I didn't miss it last year. I was down in the wire. So thanks
Yeah.
for the extra notifications. It helps.
I believe vendors were allowed to vote this year because we had quite a few come up to us after and say, hey, voted for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I think
okay,
that may have been out of the full 700 or 800.
okay, good to know. We'll have to check
Or
into
they
how that
just
works.
wanted you to buy parts from them, Taylor.
I
You
mean,
never know.
That's possible too, but you know,
I voted for you.
right?
Maybe that's how you claim the extra drink ticket or get early access to one of the events is by showing your voted sticker.
And by the way, I voted for you, Taylor.
Oh, did you? It was
I
the peanut
can't
butter
remember.
balls, wasn't it?
Okay, has it always been an electronic vote?
There were options. We always had the option where you could do a paper vote too as well. And at one time it was just paper votes before the app. And we're going back probably 5-6 years, I'm thinking. But that's one of those things we didn't, I don't think we really promoted very well that you could do both. And we will be better at that. By the way, so it is my mission and Wendy's as well to get a lot more video and audiovisual things in our organization, and especially at ASTI going forward to increase these sort of communications. So we want to be all over the place.
Well, I was just thinking that from a paper perspective, if you're standing in front of the boards and there's a box for every person and you can drop a piece of paper in it.
Yep.
That seems so easy to me.
Sometimes easy is better.
And I'm maybe it's because I'm old, but I would stand there and say, oh, I can drop a piece of paper in these 3 boxes. And that's my vote. And I don't have to find it in the app, and I don't have to, because I'm looking at the board. I see it all. Here's my vote. I know that's more work for me and Maggie when we're standing there and we're going to have to count them later. But
the counting, I was going to say same thing, the counting in the short period of time that you have after voting stops to the banquet.
Maggie, nothing is impossible, but I just think from a participation perspective, it's really easy to see it in the app, but then you're like, you get distracted. Anyway, I will consider this, but I do think if you're walking by and you're looking at the boards and you can easily drop a piece of, like something in a box, it's going to go really fast. We'd have to, like Jenny says, you can't have a person repeat vote. So there we'd have to come up with a system, but I'm going to think about this at length because we do need more participation. I would agree we want more people to really be part of it.
And not everybody uses the app at ASTI either. I don't know what the involvement is with that. So if you can only vote on the app, then that limits their capabilities as well there.
Yeah.
Somebody just mentioned putting a QR code on the posters. I think that can go straight to the videos as well. Like if we did the video I think going to a QR code and pulling up all the videos that we host on our site, so other people can't get to it necessarily. But I think that would be a cool way to showcase the videos.
Yep. It's a
I
great
think it'd be
idea.
tough. Somebody mentioned like a video board or TVs, in the lobby there or whatever. I think that might be tough to coordinate with the hotel, and also might not be good audio visual wise, having all these different TVs playing all different, stuff. Even if it's only one, you've got to sit there and watch the whole thing for every company. You may want to skip around and, check companies that you're interested in. And I think you could do that with a QR code.
No, but these could be done in a loop though too during like breakfast and lunch and stuff on the first day or two as well.
Yeah,
So
I
that'd be
just don't
cool.
know how many people are going to sit there and watch a whole loop
So-
of,
so,
15 companies.
well, there's kind of in the background, while reading,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of a remember to do this. I think
Right.
that it's not you're going to watch it. You're going to say, oh yeah, I better go and like check this out on my own. Just
Yeah.
kind of constantly
No, that's
being
cool.
there.
Yeah.
More,
As far
just
as the
more.
QR codes go, there's a QR code on our poster. What does that go to?
It went to the voting, I think.
It
Oh,
goes to
yeah.
the
It goes to the
vote.
voting.
It goes to the voting, not our website.
Right.
Okay.
So there was a way to vote from
So
it
yeah,
already.
there is currently a QR code on the poster.
I was wondering if there's if you could make a session, like a class session, you can't do it too many of them because people want to be other places,
Sure.
but have all the contestants there and let people come and meet them and just talk to them all in one space. Plus it's also kind of fun because like when we were in it, I don't think I knew the other people. And it's just a fun networking opportunity to talk to the other people that are in the contest, even if they're your competitors, like still like you want to support the industry.
Right.
Oh, maybe that's something we could do with part of the welcome, because we're doing a welcome reception this year. Maybe that's part of that event is meet the finalists time, and you guys kind of have, buttons or something on, and everybody can talk to those people.
Ooh, yeah, something different about their badge that makes them
Mhm.
stand out, like a different color background on their badge would be kind of fun, makes them feel
Yeah.
special.
We can talk about that one, Wendy, because I was thinking about opening ceremony doing that. So we could.
Yeah, somewhere we introduce them.
Yeah,
at some
so
point.
we talk about that part.
Yeah.
We kind of
Other thoughts?
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, this is good. Everybody's talking. That's what we like.
Right.
We like the
Yeah.
feedback.
Absolutely. We kind of transitioned over the next thing that I was going to talk about. It was just what can we do to improve the contest? And I think we've had a lot of those good ideas, but if we could focus more into that, do y'all see anything that we could do better at the contest itself?
I don't know about the contest itself. So I applied to it last year for the first time. And I thought it was pretty seamless to go through. But one of the things that I thought would have been good out of it. So I didn't unless maybe it went to spam folder or something like that. I didn't get any response like, hey, sorry you didn't make it, yada yada. But assuming that doesn't exist, something like that, but also more so would be just even some type of critique where where maybe you fell short a little bit. And I don't know how many you guys are getting. So obviously if there's thousands, then obviously that would be a little wild. But I get you're having this scored by outside vendors and whatnot, but I think some way of knowing where you fell short and where you could have done better would help. As I look into this next year, looking at my own stuff going, what do I even do differently? But I also know for me, afterwards, I checked that Google Drive that it got uploaded with, and a lot of the files were like corrupted that went through. They like my leave behind didn't no longer had like letters on it for some reason. It was the most bizarre thing ever. But anyway, so I think that would be really cool.
Well, Paul, we do send out a mass email to the ones that did not make it in. We notify
Okay.
the top three with a phone call, And after those are notified, then we send out a mass email that tells everybody that you unfortunately did not make it into the top 3 in your category. One thing that we discussed in the wrap up this year is that next year we want to actually make a phone call as well to each one of the ones that didn't make it with that critique you're talking about. Is, here are your lowest scored areas out of those 5 categories. And that way it just kind of tells you where you can specifically work to make yourself better. So that is on the schedule for next year.
Is there a reason we wouldn't want to have like a standard report card? I'm assuming the judges have like a standard checklist that they're rating on. Like if you could compile all the feedback and just give them all their scores so they know, like, I'm doing really great on my website, but these other things I'm doing mediocre on, and this I really need to work on. Like, instead of just telling them the worst scores, like giving them the whole average scoring of all the judges.
Dave, would you speak to that one, please?
Okay. Hey, Wendy, should I tell my chili story right about now?
That sounds
I
good.
don't know if I know that story, but
Yes,
sure.
you should tell it because I was literally just going to say that.
Okay. So when you're so keep in mind that what we're trying to accomplish here is a good first impression that our consumer and our vendors see, and our associates we work with, our business partners. So the people that judge are intentionally not marketing people. So they're not going to be able to give you marketing expertise. So it's anytime you're judging, a beauty contest or something that's an image related, it's gonna be somewhat subjective. And so we have to take that with a grain of salt for what it is, and that's why we change the judges every year as well. We get a new panel of judges because we want to get fresh eyes on it and fresh perspectives because it is somewhat subjective. So I entered a chili contest one time, and there was 40 people in it, and I got 8th place. And I thought, well, I did pretty good, for 40 people that thought their chili was the best, right? So I got 8th place, and I thought, okay, so it's 8th. I was a little disappointed, I didn't get top 3, but they did share the scores. Okay, so the judge number 2 gave me actually a number 1. It was the best chili they ever tasted. And judge 3 that was sitting right next to him gave me the worst possible score. It was the worst possible chili they ever tasted because, as you know, chili is somewhat subjective, like these things are. So what we're trying to accomplish is overall drive that image, professionalism up, professional look into the eyes of the industry. But the people that are judging intentionally are not marketing people. So we've had this. Can we really help you market specifically? That's when you have to call your marketing people. But as far as sharing the actual judges' scores, anybody that's inquired, we were able to do that. So Christina, would you say that we've got maybe just a few every year that we've actually shared scorecards with?
I can't remember sharing scorecards with anyone specifically. Because the like he said with his chili story, the range of scores, like someone might score a website 3 and then someone else scores it a 10, and you're like, okay, this person thought this was a 3 and this person thought it was a 10. Like, it's such a wide range of feedback from the judges. You would be surprised.
Yeah, you would be surprised. But the thing that's been consistent though is that overall, those people that make it to those top 3 finalists are all really good. And in fact, every year we have ties. It is that close. And sometimes there's a big difference between those top 3 and those bottom 3s.
So, but I think we need to we'll follow up too and check, and I'd say just from the technical perspective, it sounds like maybe we just need to make sure that everything's uploaded properly. Maybe there was a couple of things that inadvertently happened, but thanks for bringing that to our attention. We'll make sure that another person from, outside checks everything before it's there. That way you have a fair shot.
Yeah, that is a good point, because keep in mind that if something doesn't get in, or if you intentionally, well, I don't have this, so I'll leave this out, you really don't have a very good chance, because you're just going to get scored to 0 for those. So to that point, yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because I think we do a good job of scanning through those to look for errors. But things happen sometimes. So
I would be curious, did you replace the images in that file before, like when we sent you the email that said, hey, here's your entry to look at it, or
Yeah, and I think it was right after, like the day after the like final turn-in date was. And like I said, like if you were to click on it, but not being your material, you may have not even noticed it unless you looked hard enough and went, well, that's really goofy. They wouldn't submit this. But like I said, it was like my leave behind had pictures but had no lettering on it. And it was like, what is this? This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I don't even understand how it happened. And so I ended up going through and re-uploading it. And I even sent an email, but I never got any reply to it. But maybe it's an automated thing and not read anyways, which I totally get. And then as far as to the point of the mass email, I probably either got it and looked over it and didn't even notice it, or went to spam. But no, I think that's all great. And not to talk over Jenny's point or anything like that, or assume, but I think like what she was saying was really just like that average, not to know every judge, right, but just to know where the average lied. But I get totally what you're saying, as far as people are going to look at things differently. It's cool.
Yep.
Thank
We
you.
had a different experience. Like I uploaded everything, and I guess nothing got through. So we were fortunate enough to have someone contact us and be like, hey, like I think Christina contacted us, nothing came over. So I was able to resend everything, thankfully, via email, because nothing got uploaded correctly. I don't know if our files were too big, but that at least we knew that somebody on the other side was looking at everything, and in the end helped us with our entry.
If I notice like something like this person has no pictures, that seems wrong. I do
Right.
check for that. But if, like he said, if it was like a corrupt file and the text was off, I wouldn't know to look for that. But that's good feedback, because I think a couple people, their files were too large and the form didn't take them. So I'm going to look into improving that file size for the next year. But it's good to know. It's good to hear that feedback. Thank you.
The only other thing I'd like to add, so when we were informed we were in the top 3, I didn't know what we were or were not allowed or expected to do prior to ASTI. So I didn't know that people were going all over Facebook and Instagram and whoever to say, I made it, vote for me, vote for me. I didn't know that was even an option. I thought that you weren't supposed to really tell anybody anything until ASTI's day 1. And then you could start to tell all of the other people in the industry that you became top 3 and that they can vote for you when they're there. That's the only other thing. I didn't know, like, I guess the rules or the expectation around it. I guess people like have
So we need to have some, we gotta have, we're gonna have some, sounds like we need a campaigning guideline, campaigning map. Like if you're in the top 3, here's what's acceptable if you wish to campaign, or not, or maybe we don't I don't know. I've not obviously been through this before, but that's something we can definitely discuss, is providing you guys those, because you're right. If you didn't know that was allowed, you were already behind from the start.
yeah, because
and it was our first year.
that's
so we didn't know what to expect.
I get you. So that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually part of the fun of it. Is when you're at ASTI, you promote, and you talk about it and discuss it, and then you're sharing, and like I said, because the top 3 are so close anyway. So I mean, it's it really is. So it's so a lot of that is the fun of promotion and that sort of thing, and it's part of the fun of voting at ASTI.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned about getting sort of the report card of the people that didn't get in. To be honest, even the people that got in, to know we were top 3, but how it's hard to know where to improve or what to do different or do better. So even the top 3, knowing what you could do better for next time, what you can improve on. And I took things from even the awards that were given out, like the tool mats that people have that they if to while you're in somebody's house. So we bought a bunch of those to be like, okay, that's the next step. Let's level up. Let's see what more we can do for next time or for the industry, right? So that was anyway, yeah.
I think that could be a great selling point for increasing enrollment into the contest, is like you're going to get feedback at the end, which I think some people don't want feedback. They get their feelings hurt, but I feel like if you're not open to feedback like that, your customer reviews are going to come back in a form of feedback. So you're going to get a negative review. You can either get all upset and angry about it, or you can take that as something that you can work on as a business and get better at. And so that's the spirit that we want to approach it from. And I have an insider tip for everybody. I think what might have helped us is the fact that our therapy dog, Olaf, who was our office dog, was on the poster instead of my face. So if you have a pet that's part of your business or something like that, like go for that little edge, because I was a little like, wow, under team, it had a picture of Joe and Olaf. And I thought, well, I guess that's the team. I'm not on the team then. And then lo and behold, everybody loved Olaf's picture on there so much. I think it helped us win. But yeah, I mean, I think it's important to make it fun on that note, you know, like have a personality, do fun things, make yourself stand out in some other way, which we inadvertently did with Olaf's picture. But
Jenny, you're a humble servant. You would rather have Olaf on there than you.
Yeah, he's way better looking. Yes, very
Well,
cute,
you know,
way cuter.
Well, to that point, right? These things that we enter, right? Even like actors have to submit their own nomination. They have to, right? You thought it was just peers or experts pick you. It behind the scenes are kind of goofy, to be honest with you. And I do feel strange at times trying to campaign and promote for ourselves. There's these local ones in our towns and stuff. I'm wondering if the winners, I mean, maybe we do this already, so I apologize, Christina, but like if our association was posting the winners from social media, and then that's something that's shareable, that the company can then share the association's announcement of being a winner, instead of self-promotion, saying, hey, look at what we won. So I don't know if we've done that in the past or not, but I think that would be a great thing to promote from the association's perspective.
Doug, are you saying like have individual posts for each winner? Yeah. So we do have a page where we display the winners, but that's a great idea. I'll make note of that.
Yeah, thanks.
Right, so everybody knows the part of the marketing package you win too, you get a press release that you can distribute to your local media. Again, you're getting back into self-promotion too, but we all need to do that, right? So that's all part of what we need to do. And it's a great opportunity, by the way. In fact, that's one of the best, in my view, that's one of the better prizes, is that how often do you get these opportunities to get a press release that you won something in your industry, and you'd be able to send it to your local media for them to distribute. I mean, that's a powerful thing. It's a great thing.
And I just saw Enrique mention something. I don't know what our schedule's like, but wouldn't it be neat if all the people who made it, there was a class where people could come, or a panel where we can come and ask questions of their business. Where it's not, again, because I'm not good at it. There's a guy in this room today that he brought a crown. Like he brought a crown and a robe, and he made a scepter out of plumbing parts, and he went around, and I'm not going to say that he might have bought people drinks. That might
clearly
even
not afraid of self-promotion. Clearly
right. That's hard for me.
Yeah.
Cover up your shirt. Cover up the logo on your shirt so nobody knows.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me cover that so you guys don't see David Costanza. But for me, it just lucked out that year. I think that I had a great friend group because we won as well, but it's not something I'm comfortable with. So what if we created a place where those who applied, we can get to know Justin and Taylor and I don't know the other your name, ma'am, but like it'd be great to get to know you guys a little bit, especially if you're trying out for the first time. Because Paul Hartland is a really cool dude. So if you guys had a chance to talk with him, maybe that would help in our voting. So
Good stuff. This is all
It is good stuff. Yep.
One thing to add, will Hoova be used as the app platform going forward?
it is the app for this coming year, but we're going to use it better than we did this year for sure.
Okay. One thing that I know is a bit cumbersome. Maybe it's just me because I'm, such an instant gratification. I want it and I want it quickly and I want it now. But when I was looking at everyone's submission and, I wanted to look at their reviews on Google, I wanted to look at Facebook, I wanted to look at, all of the links that were there under each person's name or each company's name. The only one that was easy to go look at was the Google business listing, because it'll open up your Google app rather than going to the link through the Hoova app versus like Facebook and everything else. It got to the point where it becomes a bit labor intensive to look at everyone's individual submissions. So I'll be honest, for me, I only looked at everyone's Google pages just because it was easy to flip back and forth between the Google app and the Hoova app and then be like, okay, that's the company, based on Google submissions. Like I'm curious how people are actually deciding who to vote for. Is it just a simple, I like that person? Are they actually looking at reviews? Are they looking at the overall brand image? Like what, maybe a follow-up to people that do vote of what they're actually looking at and looking for when they vote?
Yeah, I think go looking at Google is probably going to give you the most accurate depiction of how professional that company is, right? As far as seeing it from a customer's point of view in their area, even if they have horrible reviews, just even how are they responding to them, right? That tells us so much right there. So I know when I voted, that's how I pretty much did was, I went and looked at Google reviews and I didn't go through Google reviews. I just looked at the number and went, oh, they must be all right. Especially when you see one that has a lot of reviews and they're pretty high up there. It's like, they're definitely putting in the work and doing the right stuff.
I looked to see if their faces were on their website and on their social media, or if they were using blue overalls guy. Because
you don't like that
so important. I do not like that guy. Nope.
The blue overalls, that's like industry legend.
Yeah.
Taylor, on the problem you were having with opening the links, is the problem you're having is that the page was opening over and inside of the app, like it wasn't opening in a new window?
Correct. And it's not that it was a problem. I mean, I was still able to go and look at everyone's Facebook, but about halfway through, once I think I got to the, 3 to 5, there's 1, 2, and then 3 to 5. After going through those 6 submissions, I was like, all right, this is just too much. I'm just going to look at people's Google pages. It's easier to toggle back and forth between those 2 windows rather than hitting the back button, waiting for the Hoova app to reload, go back to the MPS page that gives you everyone, that's in the running. It's not that it wouldn't load. I was just impatient, to be totally honest. I was just like, this is too long. This is too intensive. I don't want to do this. Like, I just want to vote. Like, I wanted to get the voting done so that it was counted.
Yeah. And that could be why we're not getting a good voting outcome, if it's just too annoying to try to click through those. So maybe we could do something more with in-page, like displaying more of the company photos and that kind of stuff on the voting page itself. So I'll kind of play around with that and talk to Dave and Scott and see if maybe we could figure something out better. So thanks for that feedback.
Yeah, no worries. I felt like there were a lot of most of the people. I mean, this was our first ASTI altogether, so I was a little bit more reserved. But after a couple of days of being there and getting comfortable and eventually, talking to people and strangers and being okay with that, quite a few of them were like, yeah, I keep seeing everyone, talk about this voting thing. I know it's for the MPS contest, but like where and how do we do it? I think there was a bit of misunderstanding from a lot of people on where and how to vote. And it definitely felt a little weird to be like, oh, open your app here, scroll down to here. Like it felt weird as a contestant to walk them through it. Maybe that's just my own personal insecurity.
Yeah, we're gonna explore. I'm gonna do some research on lots of giving more options of ways to vote. Some people will use the app, but some people won't because they don't want to download it or whatever. So I'll do some research and see if there's other ways to but also at the same time preventing people from voting for themselves repeatedly, right? We have to have a control in place too. So
Yeah, and it has to be somewhat easy, right? So
yeah.
if it's too hard, I'm not going to do it either. So it's just,
Are we going to require voter ID?
Yeah, pictures. I need driver's licenses and passports and real ID. We're going to scan the real ID. All right. Well,
can I say one more thing just really quick?
One more thing. Yeah, then we've got another meeting we got to go to. So yeah.
It'll be 2 seconds. So one thing I just wanted to mention, a huge reason why we were super happy and excited was the Mila giveaway for sure. Yeah. Mila giveaway. And it was we were excited and we went second place, so we got the vacuum. That was super cool. It was a little difficult at the airport. So they won't let you take that battery and they won't let you check that bag. So we did ask ahead of time. I was like, does anybody know if I can take this on an airplane? Everybody said it'd be fine. It wasn't. So in the checkout, in the whatever bag check, we actually had to unpack the whole vacuum to take the batteries out to put them in our bags we were carrying on the airplane because you're not allowed to check them. Just something to tell people next time. I don't know.
And that there's 2 batteries because we checked one and then got to the airport in Buffalo before we drove back across the border, and we found the second one we had actually checked.
Accidentally checked. Yeah.
But didn't know it.
Yeah.
That's
just something
very good information. Thank you for that very, very much. I mean, Dave, Dave, I reached out to you and one day I was going to send you an email. I mean, it's our intention to kind of continue with the sponsorship and try to figure out what we could do to even up the ante this coming year. So we will keep that in mind, because yes, the battery is a lithium battery. So I'm not surprised to hear that.
Like it's super cool. Vacuum's awesome.
Okay.
He was leaving it at the border. So he's like, we have to drive back to Canada with this vacuum. Like, we are renting a car and driving back.
All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Keep that in mind. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Wendy,
Well,
wrap it up.
Yeah, we thank you all for all this feedback. It's great. I think we've got some really good stuff that we're going to look into and improve and expand and have a better, it's always a great contest, but I look forward to making it even better and having more participation. So thank you all. Hopefully we get more participation as we have year over year, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.